Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Siti Aisyah binti Muhammad Izzuddin from class DHI 5A. The definition of HCP. HCP is defined as halal control point, which is a process in the process flow where measure can be applied to eliminate failure to comply with the halal requirement, and the IHC shall determine all the possible sources of contamination through all the halal change, such as change in plan layout, formulation, process flow, equipment, ingredient selection, and the prerequisite program. So the objective of the halal control point is first to identify halal threat present at each process step. Second, to rationalize the impact of each halal threat. Third, to determine the risk level of every step involvement. And four, to develop control measure for each halal threat identification. So there's 4 resources that we can get. First, the information collected for material and process, such as process flow and others. Second, employee knowledge. We can ask the seniors or the top management on how the process likely. And third, a report on production. If there is a NCR, we can study from that. And lastly, external information from the journal. And there is 4 types of halal threat, which is first, material, people, machine or equipment, and environment. So this is the halal and thayyiban control point risk metric. So if you can see from the value 7 to 9, the red mark, it is essential to have a control measure in the place to resolve the problem identification. Monitoring and verification activities toward the control measure shall be conducted for the value 4 until value 6 in the blue light mark. It shall monitor and verify control measure, and for the value 1 until 3 is up to IHC, whatever they decide to make it a good business sense to maintain the control measure in the place to reduce the hazard. So this is the table 3, halal thayyiban control point likely ranking. So we have 3, which is first, likely, moderated, and unlikely. So likely is a common or a repeated occurrence, has happened before several times. So for example, the incident is likely to happen in the plant. And second, we have the moderate. It is happen 1 or 2 times only, so known to occur, happened before. And lastly, unlikely is never happened before and practically impossible. So we move to the 3.2 halal control point secondary impact ranking. So we also have 3. First, critical, moderated, and insignificant. So for the critical, the potential contamination non-halal can affect the halalan status, and the product could not be salvaged or safe. So for the moderated, it can also affect the halalan status, but it can be salvaged or can be done revoked or safe. And lastly, we have insignificant. There is no impact to the halalan status of the product or goods. Next is thayyiban control point impact ranking. We also have 3, critical, moderate, and insignificant. So for the critical, it can affect the thayyiban status and the intended use of the product. It also can affect the future business transaction. For the moderate, it can affect the thayyiban aspect but not affected the intended use. And for the insignification, no impact on the halal status of the product and or goods. So this is the halal and thayyiban decision rule for risk ranking. We have 8. levels, which is 1 until 8, and 8 is is a code of height, and the organization need to review in the detailed manner to find out the root and the cause of the problem. So all the workers shall be briefing to keep the informed on this matter. So for the 7 and 8, it is significant. The organization shall take a measure to resolve the problem identification, and monitoring and verification activities also need to be conducted. And for the 4 until 6, it is code moderated. The organization shall monitor and verify control measure in accordance or to the schedule plan. And for the 1 until 3, it is low, so the organization maintain the implementations of the control measure in accordance to schedule plans. So now the process that involve purchasing, and the list of potential we have for material, people, equipment and environment. So for the material, purchase raw material from supplier with expiry halal certification, and it is an inclusion uncomfortability of the status of the material, whether it is halal or haram. So likelihood, it is a moderated. Sometimes it happens because we don't know. Sometimes it did not happen. And the severity is critical because it can impact the halal status, and the risk ranking is 8. So for the control measure, first we need to ensure the halal certification of each supplier is renewed and not expired via the MAI halal application. Second, we need to choose the new supplier if the supplier, the previous supplier, no action taken to renew their halal certification. So it is halal critical point. So for the people, it is not listed because it not involved in people because we only purchase, and it is exclusion not likely occur, and there is not applicable for control measure, and it is not a halal control point. For the equipment, we also don't use any equipment. We only use a phone, and it is an exclusion not likely occurrence, and it is not a halal control point. And lastly, we have environment. There is also not related because we only purchase, and it is an exclusion and not likely occur, and it is not a halal control point. So for the halal Thayyiban risk management plan summary, for the HCP1 purchasing raw material, what are we going to monitor is every raw material received is from the supplier with expired halal certification. On how we gonna monitor it, we need to ensure that the supplier company have a valid halal certification and not expired via MAI halal application. And when we need to monitor during every purchasing of raw material, and where this happen in the purchasing department, and who are going to personnel in charge is purchaser and halal executive. So if this happen, the corrective action is the purchaser must inform and get confirmation from the halal executive regarding purchasing activities if the supplier's halal certificate is expired or changed in supplier. So for the record, we have two, which is first purchase order, and second the invoice of the purchase. So that's all from me. Thank you.